Howdy FLUFFBUTTS, it's me, FaolanCortez Cult, and welcome back to another unscripted discussion. I'm very happy that this series is doing well, even though it wasn't really intentional. I've reacted to your hot takes, your headcanons, your what-ifs, your weirdest ships ever, and now we're doing something different, and this is kind of like hot takes, but I think something more impactful. These are your unpopular opinions. Basically, unpopular opinions are opinions that wouldn't really agree with most of the public, and it's something that only you and maybe like a few others would agree upon. A thought that only you think could be controversial if you ever said it in public. That is what I am going to be reacting to and discussing all about in this video. So I asked you FLUFFBUTTS for your unpopular opinions, and I've chosen a few, and yeah, I cannot wait for the hellfire that's in store. So how about we start? Misty is a much better reformed character in MLP than Starlight Glimmer. I have to agree, yeah, Misty is definitely a better reformed character than Starlight Glimmer, because Starlight Glimmer only had like a few episodes that really established her villainous arc before she got instantly reformed in Cutie Remark. Misty Brightdawn, however, had around like 3 chapters to establish herself properly, and like her conflictions, her mental state, and her gradually starting to like befriend the main 6 before she eventually betrayed Opaline. It all made sense, and it was smoothly flowed throughout Make Your Mark, while Starlight Glimmer only had like 4 episodes to properly develop herself and like make an impact. I gotta agree with you there, Coffee Gal, you are right on the money. Respect to Starlight Glimmer though, she was fantastic as a villain. I wanted the perfect pair to explain how Applejack's parents died, also their death barely felt acknowledged in the episode itself. No, that's the first opinion that I'm disagreeing with. They didn't really need to explain anything on how Applejack's parents died. That's mainly down to your imagination. You make up the rules of how they died. That wasn't even the main focal point of the episode. It was all addressing how Applejack's parents came around and fell in love, and like how they eventually got Applejack and her siblings. It was Bright Mac and Pear Butter's time to shine and give them a whole romance story that was entirely focused on that and not about how they died. Maybe they could have saved that for like an explanation for another future episode, but in the perfect pair, I don't think that it really was necessary because that wasn't really the point. And also with their death barely being acknowledged, I didn't really think that needed to be included as well, because imagine if they actually included how Applejack's parents died in the episode. That would have been so depressing for the children watching, but even though I would have loved to have seen that and like, oh, that would have made it even more like the best episode ever. I think it's just mainly down to interpretation on how you and we, the audience, would perceive their deaths. And you know, if they did include the deaths, it would have made the episode feel a lot more cluttered up than it needed to. Winter Wrap-Up really isn't a well thought out episode. Oh, okay, this is definitely going to trigger a few, but let's see what this guy has to say. I get that Ponyville is an Earth Pony town, but how is it okay for the Pegasi to use their natural magic for clearing snow and bringing back the southern birds, while the unicorns can't use their natural... Whoa, yeah! That is a good point. What? Like, they're kind of being magicist, if I have to say. Then Mayor Mare says that Ponyville is always late wrapping up for winter, and nobody seems to realize that this is most likely due to all the other towns allowing unicorns to use magic. Oh, yeah, that does bring up like a moral question there. And is it really ethical to let unicorns use their magic on the other towns while not in Ponyville? Like, come on, you've got unicorns and Pegasi sometimes living there as well, but they feel left out in that regard. Jeez. Add to that, Twilight and Spike go beyond their usual bickering. Oh yeah, that was a major problem with the episode. I hated Twilight in Winter Wrap-Up. That was just unbearable. Especially when you take into account how hyped up Twilight was for Winter Wrap-Up, but then she got the realization that no, you can't use your magic, we only do it naturally here. But then you can't just use the explanation that with Ponyville are so late to wrapping up winter because they don't have the magic. Well then just allow the other species to help you in some way, and don't just be so bigoted towards your own decisions. Oh, wow, okay. I think I might need to give Winter Wrap-Up another rewatch with this opinion in mind. Thank you. My unpopular opinion, seemingly, is that G5 is better than the first years of G4. Oh, that is spicy. With me being the biggest G5 fan there is, I'm not going to brag, but if I have to say, maybe the start of G5 isn't really better than the first years of Friendship is Magic. But then seemingly further on down the line of G5, yes, it is definitely better than probably Season 1 and Season 2 of Friendship is Magic combined. The later episodes of Generation 5 in Make Your Mark and Tell Your Tale are stellar, and Season 1 and Season 2, and perhaps, maybe I'll even include Season 3 into that mix because they cannot compare to the future of Generation 5. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was going so amazingly, but then Hasbro had to cut off the production because they wanted more money. But obviously then Season 4, Season 5, and then Season 7 came along to just knock it out of the park, and yeah, there's no comparing G5 to G4 at that point. I honestly believe that the dragons in G5 are actually a crossbreed between ponies and dragons. Yeah, I did have this thought in the back of my head for a while. Maybe the ponies and dragons crossbred together. That is just frisky to think about, but what else do you have to explain? However, I don't think any of them are actually Spike's children. Huh? When did that ever get brought up? I never once thought that maybe Lux, Fountain, Leaf, or Lava are even Spike's children. There's no way that they would be considered for his children. Sparky, maybe I could perhaps give a pass because he had that close connection in Roots of All Evil with Spike and in the Isle of Scaly when they both nuzzled heads and Spike was talking so confidently about him. But that would explain why the new dragons have cutie marks but not Spike. Even their values of courage, wisdom, and creativity sound more like pony values. Yeah, those three values right there would be more akin to pony kind since they would be the stuff that they would like be most expert at, not the dragons, because they once used to be dominant and bullyish and like brutish characters, but soon the dragons evolved down the line to be more friendly and open-hearted, and yeah, that would explain why some of them got cutie marks. In all honesty, I love the idea that maybe the G5 dragons are like a hybrid of pony and dragon, but they mainly retain their draconic features. Make Your Mark was better than the G5 movie! Oh no, okay, you're in hot water, mate, if you don't explain yourself justifiably. The songs were not very true to the MOP vibe. What are you talking about? Yes, they were! Sunny's character is completely different to how she is portrayed in Make Your Mark. You must have known how Sunny was evolving from being like a wholesome explorer character to still being that way in Make Your Mark, but she had like a duty of care being the alicorn and she had like a responsibility. It's only another additional slice of character just being piled up onto the interest that she already has. And Sprout is honestly one of the dumbest villains in all of NLP. Well, I can definitely agree with you right there, mate, because Sprout Cloverleaf, oh my god, I can't stand him. For me, Sprout was just not good, and I think he was just terribly characterized. I love Make Your Mark, though. The story arcs are all wonderfully done, especially Misty's. Yep, you're correct. The songs are way better. Well, I personally think that all the songs in A New Generation are certified bangers, and we got much better villains in Opaline and Allura. Yeah, Opaline and Allura are way better villains than Sprout in every way possible. Sure, the lore may not all make sense, but it's very enjoyable to watch overall, and the animation is beautiful. I'm sorry, did you watch the movie? The movie was what inspired the animation style for Make Your Mark. Go rewatch the first Make Your Mark special. The animation was so cheap. Sorry if I enrage anyone, but you asked for unpopular opinions. Yeah, that's what I've asked for, but don't worry, I respect your opinion. Even though you're wrong. Discord never learned to be a good friend. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna let this guy preach. Releasing a bunch of supervillains and convincing them, practically forcing them to attack his friends is straight up psycho behavior. Yep, exactly. Why didn't Discord just set up a much bigger and more dangerous task for Twilight in the form of like a obstacle course or something, instead of like resurrecting villains from the past and ones that they have previously defeated to just dominate the world all over again? It's absolutely incomprehensible, and I'll never forgive Discord for that. Well, I already don't like him anyway. Furthermore, the only reason he wasn't a villain was that someone was kind to him when he didn't deserve it and gave him a chance. Yeah, Fluttershy, and that ship as well, Fluttercord. Fuck it straight to hell, I hate it. So it's disgusting that he made no effort to befriend or change the villains and give them a chance. Oh yeah, that is a good point. Why didn't Discord teach Chrysalis, Lord T-Rex, and even Cozy Glow, who is a literal child, like, to learn the idea of friendship in a better way? Like, he can learn from the villains and like turn them around. Oh my god. Truly the kind of guy who kicks the ladder away after he's climbed up up to safety. Why did that sentence sound someone uncannily like Lotso from Toy Story 3 when he didn't push the button to stop the conveyor belt to prevent Woody from falling into the incinerator? That's the kind of character Discord is in the last season, and it's so idiotic. Twilight is a jerk to Spike, especially for some pony who's supposed to be his real family or best friend, laughing at him, ignoring him, only gifting him a book. Yeah, what? Oh my god. That moment in Secret of My Excess, every time Spike has his birthday, all that Twilight gives is a lousy book! Twilight, seriously, can't you be more thoughtful or heartfelt towards Spike in a way on his literal birthday? All those times she mistreated him, Spike deserves better. Yeah, that is why I personally believe that and Hitch is a way better family connection dynamic than Twilight and Spike ever was in Friendship is Magic. Hitch and Sparky flow so naturally of each other, and Hitch being that protective of Sparky with his like fatherly antics. Twilight truthfully was hardly any of that in the show, but it only really cropped up during season 8. I think in that Father Knows Beast episode when Spike said, "You're not my family because I've already found it," and then Twilight had her heart broken. I think in that episode, Twilight finally realized what she was doing wrong all along, and she had to stand up for Spike to prevent him from becoming an actual slave. It's another reason why I absolutely adore that final moment in Roots of All Evil Part 2, with Sparky having to choose between Hitch and the dragons to see like where his loyalties lie and who loves him the most. And Sparky ends up choosing Hitch because he believes he is his home. That was just masterful progression of the plot for Sparky and his evolution of character. Like, oh my god. Hitch, you take much better care of Sparky than Twilight ever did with Spike. Yeah, that's just, I agree. Amending Fences is a passable episode that crashes in its big emotional moment. The emotional moment is way too dialogue heavy for things the audience already saw. Nah, I think it's the right level of dialogue there, mate, because you have to take into account how much Moondancer was secluding herself up in her dormitory all that time, and when she finally has the chance to like have a party all to herself, she realizes that she doesn't really want it because she just brings up the history of like how much Twilight ignored her. It's a crash out, and you have to let Moondancer just rant on and on about it. You can't blame her too much for that because she is just so heartbroken. And sincerely, who really cares if the exposition is overloaded in that moment? It's stuff that Twilight doesn't really know, so Moondancer has to force it all on her to really make her wake her up. It's a powerful punch in the gut for Twilight, and it's a rude awakening for her to realize what she has done, and she needs to make it up with Moondancer in a proper and one that's actually meaningful. Maybe some parts of Amending Fences can be a bit nitpicky, but that crash out scene at the end, nah, I think that was wholly deserved. Rainbow Dash is a terrible friend. Well, I'm sure you fluffbutts are aware, if you are subscribed to my channel, that I am not a big fan of Rainbow Dash. I don't think she deserves her element of loyalty, but I would say that she is a good friend. She's a terrible element holder, but a good friend. So there's that for you. I'm not going to say anything more that will just cause the pitchforks to come after me. Ugh. Oh my, we've got a whole list here. Okay, let's run through these ones very quickly. Sparky is way better than Flurry Heart. Yep, 100% agree. Like, Flurry Heart was just made for merchandising. Sparky actually had purpose in the story. Sunburst and Flash Sentry, that's it. What, you ship those two stallions together? Interesting. Well, I can't really say that I agree because neither of them have ever met before, unless they have in Equestria Girls, I'm unsure. Sunset should have come back to Equestria after Friendship Games. Sunset soon does come back to Equestria in Spring Breakdown, but not permanently after all. So are you saying that Sunset Shimmer should have permanently come back to Equestria after the third movie? I would say, not really, no, because Sunset Shimmer feels way more comfortable in the human world than the pony world, even though she is a pony herself. Sunset Shimmer, I just realized, she is practically cosplaying herself as a human while being an actual pony. Sprout should have joined the main six in G5. No, I'm putting a big nope on that. That is a huge no. Discord should have shown up in Maker. No! No! That is an even bigger, humongous no. If I saw Discord in Make Your Mark, I would just lash out. There's no way I want to see that terrible character in the show. And would he even work in G5? would he really? He kind of does in the comics, but in the actual, like, canon show, no. No. Moon Scout and Stormblazer should have been canon. Yes, they should have. There were so many romantic entanglements and indications to them, but no, Hasbro had to snatch away the romance. Make Your Mark should have been animated in 2D. Ooh, I think that is a really good mixed opinion there, because I personally love Make Your Mark in 3D, but it has recently come out that Gillian Burrows said that Make Your Mark was originally going to be animated in 2D, so yeah, I think this one could go either way. So 3D or 2D, make up your mind. I don't mind. Twilight Sparkle should have been the main antagonist of Make Your... No, absolutely not. No, that is a big nope again. Why would Twilight resort to becoming a villain of G5? Because that would make the Friendship is Magic crowd even more triggered and rageful at Generation 5 than they already had. There's no way that I can imagine Twilight being a bad guy in G5. And even with the history of her, like, creating the Unity Crystals and having to separate all the species and eventually maybe succumbing to some fate herself, she would not work as a villain at all. The trauma of her decisions and the responsibility would still not shatter her apart. She remains a good guy. What on earth is this Bible of a comment? Jesus Christ! Someone was really passionate about this opinion. Okay, what does this one say? From what I've seen, I would say this might fit that description. I actually liked Nightmare Roommate. Oh no, that 4th episode of Tell Your Tale, yeah, I despised it. But if there's someone that would write this much about it, they must defend it very well. Okay, let's see if you can change my mind, pal. For one, the basic premise of the girls dealing with growing pains of living with together. That was something they were going to have to tackle, and I'm glad the writers dealt with it so early in the series rather than doing this later. Yeah, I can say I agree with you there, because getting on with like the moving in stuff and the growing pains of like having to deal with a new place to live, yeah, I'm glad that they got that out of the way early instead of just bringing it up again. Still, it just doesn't really paint a good image though with the way it was exhibited in the episode and performed, because everything was just so out of control. Even a home to share was more bearable than this. Second is how it's framed. As you watch the episode, you see the girls having to deal with Izzy being, well, Izzy, which makes total sense to me. No, Izzy does not be Izzy. She's not like a Pinkie Pie clone, which you can excuse off as Pinkie being Pinkie. Izzy is her own character, and her being this chaotic and especially annoying in the episode with what she does, this is not at all like her character like she was established in Make Your Mark and even the movie. Izzy Moonbow does not go around the place acting all erratically and stealing food and using toothbrushes as ear cleaners. Well, maybe I can excuse that with her not really knowing what toothbrushes is, but surely they must have spent a few days together, they have already moved in, and they must have seen Sunny like brushing her teeth or something. She would have got the impression back then. Much like how Misty is introverted and didn't understand how true friendship worked because of her upbringing with Opaline, yeah, because that's because she was abused by her mates. She was physically, psychologically, and emotionally abused by Opaline. That is nothing how compared to how Izzy was brought up. She was just lonely and she didn't really have any family. She wasn't repeatedly beaten to death or something. She occasionally hanged out with all the other unicorns and such, but then again, she never really had any friends, so she wouldn't really have a good social understanding of what to do. Izzy is socially immature because she never had someone to teach her how to act or reprimand her when she went too far. Yeah, that is a good point too, because yeah, like I just said, she never had anyone there to teach her the rights or wrongs. She just lets her make her own decisions, so yeah, maybe that does forgive her a little bit, but I still can't stand her. Plus, she goes about her morning with the joyful innocence and naivety of a child, so I find it hard to get mad at her in this situation. Also, the detail of her misspelling unicorn in the crossword unicorn, and that moment when she eats the cereal, yeah, those were cute moments, but it's just still in the face of immaturity, and it's just not fun to watch in my opinion. Then we get to the ending where Izzy reveals everything she did was to try and fit in with her friends because she never lived with best friends and everything is given a new meaning. It was never about her wanting to use the other stuff, she was trying to emulate her friends because she wanted to fit in. Something that she never really did back in Bridalwood, which is why the scene of Izzy declining the gifts never bothered me. She's blunt, yeah, but she's still learning. Yeah, and the bluntness is another thing of why the scene is ruined for me because it just feels like she's been hypocritical in that sense. Maybe I can be a little apologetic of Izzy for what she has done, but again, yeah, it's just someone that I wouldn't really want to live with if they are like that on the first few days. But then again, in contrast, Izzy is Sunny and the others' friend, so they can't blame her too much, even though they are rightfully annoyed. I'm sorry if I'm skipping over a lot of what is said in this comment, FLUFFBUTTS. I'll display it right here for all of you, but I'm just trying to find the most interesting points that I can talk about. I will say this, the stuff that I'm skipping over, I will say that I firmly agree with, okay? Sunny is interested in the idealized version of friendship and has to grasp that real friendship can be messy. This is why she goes to Hitch for advice, and I love this scene where Hitch gives the advice. Yeah, I understand again, but I just don't like how Hitch is just brought into the episode as a means of convenience. Overall, I like this episode because the characters are being flawed, relatable ponies who act like any human going through the rough patches of adjusting to the new in a new normal. I just don't like the idea of moving around because I've moved houses like 3 times during my career on YouTube and it was just painful, and I just wanted to sit around like this and not really talk to anyone. And having someone like Izzy in the episode being that energetic around the place while I'm in this mood, like how Sunny, Pip and Zip were with those baggy eyes, yeah, it's just not fun. So yeah, maybe that's the reason why Nightmare Roommate just gets on my nerves. I don't enjoy it. So I understand what you're saying, yeah, and all the love and power to you, FLUFFBUTTS, if you enjoy Nightmare Roommate, but I suppose it's just not meant for me, is it? Ugh, who knows? Maybe I'm just being a inconsiderable, heartless jerk who doesn't appreciate this episode for what it's trying to convey. Maybe I'm just being an arsehole. Oh, who cares? Let's just wrap this up. So, yeah, Nightmare Roommate, boo for me, and yay if it's for you, then cool. Well, FLUFFBUTTS, that wraps up my video of me reacting to your unpopular MLP opinions. I greatly hope you all have enjoyed, and if you have any kind of arguments for what I may have discussed in this video, do leave them all in the comments below. I do want to engage further with all of you on this topic. And what kind of unscripted discussions do you want to see next from me? Do leave some suggestions, I want to see more. So, FLUFFBUTTS, don't forget to hoof smash that like button down below, and comment all you can to help me out with this video, and subscribe to my channel for more stuff like this and many more content coming soon. And also don't forget to leave a pledge on my Patreon page down in the description below so you can help support me in making these fantastic videos more consistently. And I shall see you all very soon. Goodbye! And just before this video ends, I want to give a huge thank you to all my patrons on my Patreon. My Silver FLUFFBUTT patrons, Sabrina Wade and Alex Smith, and all my Gold FLUFFBUTT patrons, Drew Lazinski, Clear Heart Apple, Jonathan Chapper, Stephen Cram, Darthsiler22, Owen Wildish, Lance Dragmeyer, and KikiBat VA. All of your love and support is greatly appreciated. Thank you.